Bickley and Marotta mornings. Arizona sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
The NBA postseason is a marathon grind for everyone involved, and it's 10 times worse when you miss the playoffs entirely. Diehard Suns fans are feeling that pain all over again. There are awful reminders everywhere you look. Tyrese Haliburton is a clutch-time killer, and he should be in Phoenix. A guy that fell into the Suns' lap at the 2020 NBA draft, only to have James Jones select Jalen Smith instead. Mind you, this is not hindsight. We all knew it was really stupid in real time. Ryan McDonough had a trade lined up to draft the current MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, only to be overruled. Meanwhile, in New York City, 7th Avenue and West 25th Street has been renamed Mikal Bridges block. And when Haliburton forced overtime on Wednesday, it reminded me of Don Nelson, who made the exact same high-bouncing shot off the back of the rim in the 1969 NBA Finals, and that reminded me of how Nelson once swooped in at the last minute and vetoed a trade that would have sent Steph Curry to the Suns. Bottom line, being a Suns fan is once again a dark tunnel of torment filled with regret and what-ifs, and what the bleep just happened. It's exhausting and soul-crushing, and I cannot wait for the Suns to announce their new head coach just for the newness and for the hope of renewal, as long as it's not the candidate from Michigan State. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW, who make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
What do you got against Sparty?
There was a very, very funny thing on social media by somebody who had kind of taken the center court design at PHX Arena and kind of put the Sparty helmet on it.
It was actually very well executed.
It was very well
executed. And kind of a cool logo.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
I'm not saying I want it to be used, but it was well done.
So, so all these things were kind of going through my mind last night. I told you this morning you had never seen that Don Nelson shot. I just remember seeing highlights of it. It was eerily similar to what we watched last night in Madison Square Garden. Mm-hmm. So John Havlicek in the Game 7 of the 69 NBA Finals was trying to dribble out the clock, and he got the ball poked from him. It ended up in Don Nelson's hands, and he shot the ball. He's not a good shooter. Hit off the heel of the rim, went straight up in the air, fell right in. And it happened again last night. Full circle.
I was not familiar with that shot, but I went and looked at it. He shot it from the free throw line.
Well, that's
it was a little closer in. It didn't bounce as high. I'm not even sure the shot clock was mounted atop the backboard back in 1969. It was one of those bounces that first of all, to get the bounce on a shot of that distance when it goes that high in the air, the percentage chances of that have to be very low. The fact that Tyrese Haliburton, his tippy toe was on the line to the point where there's some mic'd up footage now of Tyrese Haliburton reacting, mic'd up to the point where you can hear him block the microphone when he did the choke signal, but then he realized, I didn't get back. I didn't get back far enough. Can you imagine? Imagine if the Pacers don't win that game in overtime.
Oh, he would be getting destroyed.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what worries me about the Knicks. That they didn't seize that opportunity in that moment and go, oh, really? You're that guy? And then just stuck it to him in overtime. But they might have been gassed they might be in trouble.
Yeah.
What's interesting, and I mentioned this in the blast, this is so unbecoming of a city like New York. They have renamed temporarily all these streets after every Knick player. Precious Achiuwa, the Precious Achiuwa place, 6th Avenue in West Washington. OG Anunoby Alley, 6th Avenue and West 8th Street. Told you about Mikal Bridges block. Everybody on that team has got a street named after him right now in New York City. That is so rinky-dink and below New York City.
Shouldn't they have named
I think it's pretty cool.
I don't. I think it's not for New York City. This isn't Des Moines, Iowa.
Shouldn't they have named a bridge after Mikal?
That would have been, yeah. Landry Shamet Circle.
Okay, now that's ridiculous.
PJ Tucker Terrace. Unbelievable. Some dude named Ariel Huckporty has a street.
Oh, of course. He deserves one.
Incredible. Again, this is what I'm New York
Campaign Lane?
Campaign Place. I love Campaign Lane. New York acted like they won the NBA championship when they beat the Celtics, and of all sports towns, you expect New York to act like they've been there before. At least I do.
But Knicks fans haven't been there before.
Well, there is that. There is that.
The feeling was we conquered we slayed the dragon, we conquered the giant. What could possibly happen? Indiana, come on. Back to the gist of your blast,
Okay.
Vic. You want to turn back the clock 5 years? I apologize for this.
With the 10th pick in the 2020 NBA Draft, the Phoenix Suns select Jalen Smith from the University of Maryland.
Yeah. Like I said earlier.
Johnson?
No,
Jalen
Smith?
Obviously did not. It wasn't a popular pick in real time. It didn't work out.
No.
I've said this often, and as somebody who was beating the drum rather loudly for Tyrese Haliburton 5 years ago on draft night, you will absolutely drive yourself more nuts than you already are if you keep going back and saying,
I know.
What could have been?
I know that.
Because in 2021, when the Suns were playing for a championship with Jalen Smith on the roster, nobody was saying that. It's just another reminder of how far south this thing has turned and how quickly it's turned.
Well, that's it. That's exactly it. And for the people who endured the decade without playoffs under the previous owner, we thought those days were long gone, right? Didn't we? After the 2021 run to the NBA Finals and the bubble and the way everything was going
the next year.
But you have to live where now. Like you can't. It was the same thing. Like, well, DeAndre Ayton, helped lead the team to the final, so it's good they picked him over Luka. Well, you have to look at the now and what's going on. And it wasn't just that Haliburton is a superstar now. It's that Jalen Smith is not on the Suns and is not
right.
anything special.
Vinny is absolutely right. The Suns need to get super lucky in this NBA draft. You need to get a contributing player that just blows everybody away, and you didn't expect it to happen because it happens all over the NBA. Suns have got to get lucky there. And according to
Can I amend that just real quick?
Sure.
I think you have to be lucky when you're drafting at 29
and 52.
But it's more about the luck of what other teams aren't drafting. Throwing a dart and having a guy develop, that's nice. But how about relying on your acumen as a scouting department and realizing, okay, this guy's not highly touted. He's got all these attributes that actually apply themselves to NBA play. Let's identify this guy and bring him in and use him. Luck is nice, but being better at scouting and drafting is way better.
Yes, find some dogged basketball players who have real tenacity to them. Gamble reporting that there are, 4 favorites in the coaching search right now. Chris Quinn, like him. Mike Inori, like him. Sean Sweeney, a lot of other people like him, a defensive-minded head coach. And then, of course, the
winner.
The dude from Michigan State, Jordan Ott.
The odd man out, if you will.
Oh, well done. Again, I can't caution the Suns strongly enough about how perceptually awful it would be to complete this Sparty circle. And again,
look, I can't disagree with you.
Nothing against Jordan Ott as a candidate. I'm just talking about perception.
What if they truly, in the evaluation process, and it's a wide net, and they go through all these qualifiers and interviews, and at the end of that, regardless of that background, they truly believe Jordan Ott is the best answer?
Oh, boy.
But it's the same idea about Brian Gregory. Would anyone believe that?
I mean, I think that's a valid question.
Yeah. I know.
Because they didn't go through the same wide net search for a general manager as they did as they're doing for a coach.
How about it?
It seemed like it was Bob Myers or Brian Gregory. Doesn't it seem like that?
It does seem like that to me. It most definitely seems like that to me. And again, you talk perceptually. The national media, if you hire Chris Quinn, we've already talked to Bobby Marks about this. I've heard other people talk about these other up-and-coming kind of candidates. You can get behind the newness of an up-and-coming kind of candidate. But if he's coming from Michigan State, people are just going to lose their minds.
Yeah. The perception, I can't argue with the perception part of it. It would not be a positive.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.